Hello, everyone. A warm welcome to the Scandinavian Female Empowerment Summit. Jannik and I are so happy that you are joining us for this summit and that you are taking time out of your schedule to give yourself the gift of letting yourself learn and be inspired by our amazing female Scandinavian teachers. Today, our focus of the interviews is the body. And with us today from Denmark, we have Anja Vintov. Hi, welcome, Anja.
Thank
Anja is known as the enemy of fear. She works as a coach and trainer, helping people to face their fear. And she also works as a speaker and recently actually joined an event in London. She wrote the book Everyday Courage. And Anja, welcome. It's such a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me to this beautiful event.
How are you in this beautiful morning?
I'm fine. I'm ready to whatever the day will throw at my feet. It's a bit cold here in Denmark, but it's very light and bright this morning. Actually, the sun is shining, and it's a beautiful morning.
It is the same here.
Yeah.
Well, today, Anja, we will talk about how to face our fear and why it is important. We are in this body section, and I am aware that trying to split the body, mind, spirit is difficult, but we will try to do it anyway.
Yes.
And in this talk, we will try to have a bit more focus on our body.
Yeah.
We talked about making a little practice.
Yes, because what we often hear is let's face our fears, and I'm not all for that. I'm actually more about embracing the fear, and in embracing fear, we need to be okay with feeling the fear. So just for a while now, because we're entering this body section, and I would like to just get out of our heads for a while. It's just connecting to our bodies instead. So I would like to invite every one of you just to take this 5-10 minutes just to pause for a while and just lean back. You will not be missing anything. You don't have to do anything right now. You just have to lean back in the chair that you're sitting in, or the couch you're lying on, or wherever you are. So just lean back from the screen and close your eyes for a while and just kind of sink into your own body and your own breathing. Make a long exhale, longer exhale than inhale, and take this time just to sense your own body. Maybe it's the first time today that you actually connect and are aware of your breathing and the sensation that are running around in your body. So take a time now, because we need to remember that this is our time. This is our life. This is our chance to be whoever we are. And if we're running too fast, it's really difficult to sense who the hell we are. So right now, just close your eyes. Maybe you can place a hand on wherever you feel like placing a hand on your body. It doesn't have to be the heart or the stomach. Just place a hand wherever you feel that your body needs some attention. And with your breathing, try to create a big space around you, like you have all the space you need in the world. And do the same inside of you. Just breathe softly with an open mouth. And relax your forehead and your neck, and your shoulders. And for every exhale, just have this sensation of being a little bit heavier. And just relax. Just relax for a while. You don't have to think anything or do anything or be anything than what you already are. And then see if you can find somewhere in your body. It might be on the surface, it might be inside of you. See if you can find a place that is really, really calm. There is always a place in our body where calmness resides. So see if you can find that place. And then see if you can open your mouth really wide, just really wide. If you have a colleague sitting in front of you, he or she might give you a smile. But just really open your mouth all you can. And then raise your hands and your arms above your body and lean back. If you can, lean back just a little bit so you open your chest. Your arms up and wide out. And continue breathing here. It might be a little bit more difficult, but just continue the breathing even when you lean back. All right. And take your arms down again. And even though you're sitting, you might want to get up. You can't do it while sitting. But now I want you to shake your body like if you were a dog who just got wet. So I want you to shake, and I'm doing it with you. Whatever you can. Your feet, your hands, your head. Just shake, shake, shake. And when you've shaken a little bit, just sit down again. So, now I want you to open your eyes. And I'll give the word back to you, Inger. I think we're ready to start.
Thank you, Anja. I actually realized that I'm not good at taking these spaces for myself. So yeah, if we had picture on, you would have seen a little. You would have seen me cry just a little.
Oh, how nice! And that is what we do actually. When fear, the unconscious fear, sneaks up upon us, when we don't think we're good enough or wise enough or smart enough, or if we're not able to do whatever is expected of us, and so forth, we without knowing it, winds up in a survival mode. And when we're in survival mode, we don't think we're allowed to just sit down and take a break. And take a break and do nothing. And we're not robots yet. We're still living in a physical body, in a physical world. And we really need to understand what that means. We need to understand how important it is to live together with our bodies and not fighting them or fighting their needs. Because the body is fairly simple. It has some needs and requirements, and we just have to listen and obey. Because otherwise it will turn our lives into a living hell. And a lot of people have already tried that. I guess many of the women on the line have tried that as well. There are a lot of people getting stressed, getting sick, getting ill, getting depressed, getting anxious. And that is actually because unconsciously has fear been driving our lives for too long. We're not designed for that. We're designed to do something and then rest, and do something and then rest. So we need that flexibility in our system.
Yes.
And this took, 4 or 5 minutes, and that's enough actually. Do that 4 or 5 times a day, then you actually reconnect with your inside. And we all need to lead a life that is a match between what is going on my inside and what am I actually projecting on the outside. So we all need to be in integrity as much as we can in order to stay healthy.
So true. I started reading a book called Integral Wisdom. As far as I remember, it said that according to the body, mind, and spirit, you can't. It's actually three kinds of level or three kinds of waves, and you have to start in the body.
Yes.
Otherwise, you can't level up, so to speak.
No.
So,
and a lot of people try to do it the other way around.
yes.
And by trying to do it the other way around, I mean that we seek for the higher frequencies. We want to be happy and free and loving and trusting and everything. And that is not possible at all if we don't connect with our bodies, because often I find that fear is actually running the show. Because if we are so anxious to get in contact with our so-called positive emotions, it tells me often that we are running from the so-called negative emotions. And we need to, in order to be a spiritual being, and we all are, but in order to really live as a spiritual being, we need to be in contact with all of our emotions. We need to dare feeling and sensing all of our emotions in our body. Otherwise, we will be running from ourselves. So there is no, that is why I say so-called, because there is actually no negative and no positive emotions. There are emotions, sensations, feelings. They are just what they are. And they're all here to help us navigate. And if we're not okay with feeling uncomfortable, then we actually can't navigate.
Exactly.
Does it make sense?
It makes sense.
So yeah, the body is kind of the lower consciousness, if you can say that, but it's where we all start. I mean, we were all bodies before we got a language, before we could even say a word.
Exactly.
We were just bodies, crying out, asking for whatever we wanted by doing some odd sounds. So first and foremost, we're bodies, and that is also how we can tell each other apart, right? So you look like that, and I look like this, and so our bodies is a temple, and we rarely treat it like that, unfortunately.
I totally agree. Well, Anja, now you have helped us get in contact with our body, and as I mentioned in the beginning, you are working with fear, and you actually have specialized yourself in fear, and now you work as flow specialist. Can you tell me what is a flow specialist, and how do you work with fear?
Yeah, a flow specialist is actually trained to discover fear in many ways, because fear has a lot of faces, you might say. There are the fears that we know we have, and then there are the fears that we don't know we have. So a flow specialist can discover whatever you're frightened about and help you get through that consciously. So we all have the ability to create flow in our lives. Sorry. And we all experience flow from time to time. I hear a lot of people saying, there's just a lot of flow right now. And that is the funny thing about that is that they're often not aware that before there was flow, before they experienced flow, there were actually some hardship. There was something that we needed to conquer or get through, or so there were some resistance before there were actually flow. And we have some phases, I call them flow phases, that we all go through. We have resistance in life, and if we really do take responsibility for whatever resistance that shows up in our own bodies and not make it about everyone else, then we take full responsibility for the body that we live in. the dreams that we have, the ambitions we have, the needs we have. And then we experience flow. And after the flow moments, we need to rest. And that is often the little section that people forget. Just to pause. I mean, just slow down, for God's sakes. Just look out the window. Just take time to hug, to kiss, to breathe, to talk. So the road from unconscious fear to deliberately create flow on purpose. That is the road we travel as flow specialists. It's not always easy work, because working with your own fear is not easy. That is why so many people don't do it. But it's always worth it. I mean, it's always worth it. And for me, it's about embracing fear, because fear is our survival mode as well. It's a part of us. It's a part of who we are. And we can't actually fight it. We can't actually suppress it or just pretend it's not there. That always makes a lot of chaos in our lives. So we need to actually love it as much as we need to love every other part of ourselves.
And you said, you mentioned something about you work and help people to discover the fear. There is the known fear, which I might have an idea of what could be. And then there is this unknown fear. Could you try to describe, is it the common fears which is placed in both the known and unknown fear, or is it very difficult from person to person?
Just have to be clear if I understand. So you're asking if it's very different from person to person, or if there are some things that we are all afraid of.
Yeah, and regarding the known and unknown fear.
Yeah. Regarding the known, I mean, there are some things that we are afraid of, all of us, and it comes from our survival instinct. High sounds, for example, snakes for some odd reasons, but that is in our DNA. The fear of losing connection is the biggest. So the fear of losing connections to our peer groups, whatever they might be. When we're a child, it's our parents. When we grow up, it's our friends and school buddies. When we get older, it's our spouses or whoever is dear to us. We're always afraid of losing the connection to them. And that is because we actually can't survive alone. When we're born into this world, we are very, very vulnerable. We can't do anything after, 10, 12 hours. If there's no one there for us, we die. So we have this fear of losing connection to whomever is around us. And that can actually be a big component in our everyday lives. Because if I were afraid to lose my connection with you, for example, I might not be honest with you. I might not set my boundaries the way I should. I might not take care of me. I might be more prone to take care of you, so you wouldn't leave me.
That's interesting.
So that is the fear of connection, and I always say that is the biggie. But it's also a little hard for people to understand if we're not into the details about it. But if we just understand that we can't really survive alone as babies, so we have this innate unconscious fear of losing connection to other people. That is why we also go along with whatever people are saying sometimes, even if we know it's wrong, right? You mean there's been a lot of studies made on that topic that people will say whatever just not to be left out of the group. So that is the big fear that drives us all. And then, of course, we're afraid of dying. That's the existential fear for some people. Other people, depending on what they've been through in life, is okay with the notion of death. We can be afraid of getting ill. There are some things that are quite normal. But the most interesting thing for me is to see, okay, if we have this big fear of losing connection, and what kind of sub fears comes out of that. So then I can get afraid to. Then I might be afraid to. My one of my biggies has been that I was afraid not being smart enough. Because I had this very smart family. My dad's family, very smart people. And then on the other hand, I had my mom's family that were kind of sorcerers and astrologists and, all about the spiritual world. So I was kind of caught in the middle, I felt. So I was afraid I was not being smart enough because I would just like my daddy to like me. So it took me a while for me to find out that he actually loves me no matter whatever I do in my life. So we can have these thoughts that we have to be or do or have something special in order to be connected, in order to be loved. And that is never true, because what happens, we tend to go along with that, is that we end up losing the connection to ourselves. So we need the connection to other people, and most of all, we need to be connected to ourselves. And that is the one we tend to forget. We tend to run faster and faster, or we tend to hide whatever is important to us, or we have different kinds of behavior when we're afraid without knowing it. We tend to get a little harsh, either towards other people or inwards towards ourselves.
Yeah, that's true. So talking about the unknown fear is actually when you start investigating what is behind the fear of losing connection. That's when you're going even deeper. That's you be aware, well, maybe I'm afraid of not being smart enough or good enough or beautiful enough, thin enough. The list is so long.
Whatever enough. Yeah.
How do we learn to embrace or face and be with this fear and hopefully transform it to something that help us be on this earth?
To transform it to kind of a movement, because when we're in fear, we kind of stand still. We have the notion that we're actually standing still. We're not really getting anywhere, and that is right, because we're afraid to do whatever is necessary. But if we take it, you can say, all the listeners, try to take a look at your life just right now, just for a brief moment, and find an area or something in your life that is not working out for you to the extent that you feel is really possible. Because often we have this feeling that, I know this is possible, so why the hell isn't it happening? So find something that is not working out for you to the extent that you feel is really possible. And then just pause for a while and then ask yourself, what am I not allowing myself to be, do, or have, or create in that area of my life? So what am I not allowing myself to be, do, or have, or create in that area of my life? And then the big question is why? Why? What are we afraid of, since we're not allowing ourselves to be a full expression of who we really are? What kind of thoughts have I believed that I had to believe in? So people, human beings, need space. We need space around us to some extent, but most of all, we need space inside of us. And if we're not allowing ourselves to be, do, or have, or create whatever is necessary for us to feel alive, we actually trigger our survival response, and then we get stressed.
I think that's this is really good questions.
Dangerous question.
It is. Yes, and it also makes me a bit sad, but I mean, being aware. Yeah, exactly, and be aware of what is underneath I think that's a way that's a way to take this or
Yeah.
to walk this transformation.
Absolutely. And then we stumble upon, oh, but that makes me sad, or that makes me anxious, or then up comes all the different or the difficult emotions that we're not trained to deal with. Most of us are not trained to deal with. So what would we do then when we stumble upon a sadness or a grief? I mean, wow, have I really done this to myself? Then a lot of people would try to suppress that immediately because it's not nice. It's not nice to look at. Then we will start creating a lot of stories about, oh, but it just has to be that way, or I need to whatever. And some people might, instead of taking care of their own problems, that's a way to distract ourselves as well, take care of other people's problems. Then we fix the other people, because then I get a little notion that I'm worth something. And the third possibility is that drink alcohol, eat cookies, train too much, exercise excessively, whatever. So we have these 3 ways of kind of numbing ourselves out of feeling the emotions that is actually guiding us towards what we really need. Is it
Yes.
do you follow? Yeah. So if we're not okay with feeling uncomfortable from time to time, we will not be able to dig deeper enough to actually experience what we need to do or be or have or create in order to free more of our potential. Potential is like a cliche, but you know what I mean. Full expression, I'd like to call it, more than potential. So we all have full expressions in every part of our lives, but we tend to diminish them when we get frightened.
Now you are talking about this, a friend of mine trying to explain somehow the same that you are doing, that if you're not allowed these negative feeling, which I do aware that they are not necessarily negative, but the dark feelings, that means that we won't even feel the positive feelings, because we have to work and to make this area more width, so we can both feel the darks, have the dark feelings and the light feelings. To me, it really makes sense, because I think it's not that I mean, in my daily life, I'm never angry and I'm never really, really happy. And I think, well, that I could convince myself that is good, but something inside me, no, that's not good. I need to allow both to be angry if that's what's
Because if we know we're not okay with being angry, and anger has so many forms, that's a whole other topic, but if we're not okay with being angry, we're not that good at setting boundaries for ourselves, and we don't change anything in our lives if we can't put our foot down from time to time and say, now it's enough, or now I want this. And another thing is that we want to be whole, right? That is the word I hear. So I just want to feel whole. Okay, but if you want to feel whole, you can't take away half of what you're feeling. Then it will be half. So, and then we just have to remember that once upon a time, millions of years back, when we didn't have that the brain we have now, and survival was all about, if there was something uncomfortable, it meant death. It meant, my life is threatened. And so our minds are prone to seek for the good stuff all the time. But in this time, space, reality that we're living in right now, it doesn't work that way. I mean, we can go for the good stuff all the time, but then we leave half of us behind.
Exactly.
Because if I'm always, the sweet girl, the good girl, and if I eat chocolate all day, I think that's a very nice thing. But it at the end of the day, I think I will miss out some nutrients. So there are just some things we need to do in order to have and create whoever we are here to express. Yeah.
Exactly.
And the other thing is that a lot of people actually feel that they are missing something in their lives. Something is missing. I hear that a lot. Something is missing. And that something is always us. I mean, what else should be missing? Because if we were there, if we allow ourselves to be who we are, even when it's difficult, then we are there. And then rarely anything misses. Then we can miss a dog or whatever, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, you have to, how to say it, to fill yourself up, pleasure and joy, and just be the one you are, and to expect anybody else to do that is to leave the responsibility outside you, and that's definitely not, in my opinion, a good way.
But then again, that can be a little tricky as well, because I also found that a lot of people, it's not easy for them to actually reach out and ask for help, ask for, I need a hug right now, I just need you to be here by my side, I need whatever. We have huge difficulties in expressing our needs, because we have this notion that we need to take responsibility for everything ourselves, and we need to be self-sufficient somehow. So other people don't have to take responsibility for us. But we are here to connect with each other and to express ourselves. And there are some things that I can't deliver for myself and to myself. There are some things I need other people to do with me or for me. And if I'm okay with asking, then I still believe that I'm worth receiving.
Yes.
So it has to be balanced in some way. And therein lies a fear as well, the fear of rejection, right? So we need to really, and that is one of the ways. I remember you asked, what can we do practically in order to be more courageous on purpose and create flow on purpose. And we can actually start by expressing our fears, and that is what I have tried to deliver as a message for 17 years now. Just speak about it, for God's sake. Speak about it. I mean, we were all afraid. We were all depending on the level of self-worth. We all have some issues. I mean, that is just how it is. And no one is perfect and no one is whole. But we can help each other get as far as we can along the way. So for me, talk through your fears means whatever you're afraid of, say it out loud. So if I were to say something to you, I'm afraid. Actually, the other day when I called you after our interview, we had an interview, and I was like, I feel that something we're missing. And I had a fairly booked calendar, and you had that as well. But I was like, no, it kind of it pops into my head 2-3 times, and when it does that, I need to act on it. So I called you and said, can we redo some of it? I think we need to get more practical about this. And if I were afraid that you would think, oh my, she might be a perfectionist, thinking that it wasn't good enough, all that, whatever. If I'm afraid to kind of reach out and say whatever I need, you could always say, we can't redo it. There is no time. But we always have to risk getting rejected, because in that moment, we don't reject ourselves. And that is really, really important. So talking through fear is like saying, I'm afraid that you might judge me, or I'm afraid you might not understand me, but this is what I think and this is how I feel. So could we talk about this or whatever? So if we come bearing the fear in our hands really openly, I have never really discovered, I've never experienced people getting rejected. Yes, if they had to do with psychopaths or people with other disorders maybe, but normal human beings, healthy human beings, would say, oh, but of course, good, wow, I hadn't think about it, I didn't even thought about that. So then we can actually feel each other, and we feel connected, because I think fear is so universal that the minute another people open their heart, and that is what we do when we tell our fears, we connect.
Yeah.
So that is one thing, yeah. Talking through the fear. Then just two practical things. The one we did in the beginning, just sit down, breathe. Then there are making 8 figures with your hips. Is a way to calm your nervous system. So stand up and making 8 figures. If you're about to say something really difficult, or you're about to go on stage, or you're about to make a decision that will alter your life or whatever, then turn to your body. And the last thing is that what the hell you call spit in English? Spit, saliva? No, what? Oh my!
I don't know. Could you?
Okay, could you explain it? I actually just Googled it, and it says saliva. I don't even know what that is. But spit is like when you create humidity. What do you call it?
I don't know.
Okay,
I'm really looking forward to what is coming.
Yeah, I understand. But when you when you're about to eat something, a meal,
yeah,
you create a lot of fluid in your mouth.
Yeah.
We don't know the words, but you'll get it. And if you do that constantly, like creating fluid in your mouth and put it on the tip of your tongue, you're making signals to your body that there are no danger. Because when we're about to eat, there are no danger if we take the primitive road.
Really? Is that true?
Yeah. So you could do that. And be aware if you're going to talk with a lot of fluid in your mouth. But you can do that if you're really anxious. Then 8 figures, sit down, breathe, exhale deeply, and create some fluid on the tip of your tongue. And it's not the same. You can't put water into your mouth. That's not the same thing. It has to be created in your mouth. So there are many small tips that we can just help ourselves, remembering that we live in a body, and put on some music and dance and shake like a dog, and then go out, do whatever you're here to be, do, have, and create, because why not? This is our time.
Yeah, and I think to practice some of the things you just mentioned is also, I mean, as you mentioned, and as maybe most of us know, that what happened when we got afraid is that we are even freeze, fight, or flight. But this is a behavior from which is thousands of years old. But today we don't have to do that. That we have actually different opportunities to act when we face the fear.
Yeah.
And that is, as you just mentioned, contact the body, start dancing, shaking, and make this fluid, and whatever, meditate.
Yeah, exactly. And just also be curious about how does it look like in my life when I'm afraid. Do I tend to get into quarrels, and do I shout, or do I get agitated? Do I freeze and just pretend like nothing is wrong, or do I just draw myself from whatever social arrangement or friends or family? What is my behavior when there's something going on that I'm not quite aware of? And then, because we need to lead the fear. We need to lead the fear as much as possible. It's a very, very strong force, and I believe that it's the biggest growth possibility we have, because in there lies, in every fear lies our hidden potentials.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Anja. I think it was I'm really grateful for having these advice, how to work with my body, but also the question you encourage us to ask ourselves: what is underneath the fear? Is it the right thing I'm afraid of, or is it actually something else? I think that's a really good and important questions to ask yourself. So thank you once again for sharing this.
You're welcome. You're so welcome. And I'm looking forward to listening to all the other speakers.
It's an honor to have the opportunity to create this content and have all these interviews. It really inspires me, and hopefully it will inspire those who are listening as well.
Of course it will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anja. And I also want to mention that, remember, you have access for the day's videos for 24 hours. But if you don't have the time to watch it all, or if you want to watch it once again, you can get full access to all the materials for 6 months. You can read much more about that on our website. So for now, I just want, once again, thank you very much, Anja.
You're welcome.
And thank you for you who are watching and listening. And remember to shine the light that you are. Goodbye.
Bye.